audio is on.
Yay!
So we have video and we have audio. We are full live action. We are here.
Yes.
We are here. You are here. Everyone's here. We are here as you are here, and we are all together. See how they run like pigs from the gun? I'm crying.
I know that, but I don't know where it's from.
It's Beatles.
Okay, I knew that. Okay.
Did you?
You know the thing. You know the times where you recognize something, but you just can't put your finger on it.
I actually do know that. I spent about 3 days with a melody stuck in my head one time, and it took me the longest time. It took about 3 days. Which, when there's a melody stuck in your head and you can't place it, it feels a lot longer. It was "The Sunshine of Your Love" with what was that? Eric Clapton.
The same thing, but sometimes with movies or shows. Usually something I saw in my childhood. For example, one thing that I did end up figuring out, but I've already forgotten, but I have gotten the satisfaction that I needed of being able to find it, was this animated cartoon that basically was these stories, these fairy tale stories that were told. One of them was of this soldier that met, either it was death or some sort of demon or something in the battlefield, and he made a deal with him. He said, "I will grant you whatever wish you want, but you have to prove yourself." So he pins him against a grizzly bear.
Okay.
He just magically makes a grizzly bear show up to see how tough this soldier is. The soldier ends up bayoneting this bear to death.
With a bayonet.
With a bayonet, yes. He kills this f***ing bear. And the devil says, "Okay, I will grant your wish, but you have to wear the bear suit, the bear coat, for, I think it was a year, and all your wishes will come true." So he turns the bear into a bear coat, and the soldier's like, "All right, cool." Puts on the bear coat, and does not take it off for a year.
Wow. Try and keep the swearing to a minimum.
My mistake. All right. Anyway, so he doesn't take. It
just makes my job harder.
I am sorry. Okay, I'm done.
I know where you live.
I know.
Just bear that in mind.
Okay, that was it. I'm done. Anyway, but the cool thing about this coat is whenever he needed money, he can reach into the pocket and the amount that he needs would come out.
Where do I get one of these coats?
I know, right? But you got to wear it for a whole year.
I have worn other garments longer.
No, you don't take it off. Ever.
Ever?
Ever. That whole year, he never took it off, which made things a little difficult because he got a little stinky.
Yeah, you would have to kind of jump in the river with it on.
Mm-hmm. But there's a happy ending to it. That's not the point.
Would make hygiene a little complicated,
yes.
And Beth would start to ask questions.
Yes. This guy found love, happiness, and, of course, wealth.
What more do you need?
Yep. So that's not the point. The point was I needed to find whatever the show was, and after days, literal days, every day I'd jump on the internet and I tried a myriad of different search terms before I finally found it. And that's all I needed. I was satisfied. Figured out, all right, it's really proves that curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back.
Yeah.
And then after that, I didn't care anymore. One thing that I'm still looking for, and I cannot find, I remember watching a horror movie where a dude got bit in the arm by some rattlesnake, either like a radioactive rattlesnake or something.
Okay.
Yes. It's one of those B horror movies, right? But his whole arm then turns into a snake.
Right.
Never finished the movie. I'd like to figure out what this movie is called and finish it.
Well, for those of you at home, if you have anything, leave it in the comments section or DM me on X. You can find me on X at Discussions with Davis. And let me know if you find it.
A couple clues, because I might be misremembering how the movie went. But a couple things that I do remember is that this guy he went to a doctor, and there's a quick shot in the background where they did an X-ray of his arm, and it's just straight rib cage of a snake. Like the whole thing is just a rib cage of a snake. Like it's not even an arm anymore. It's straight up a snake. And I remember thinking, well, that's pretty cool. But that must have been what, 7?
It's good to know that cheesy horror flicks will never go away. There was actually one recently, like 2018, with Nicolas Cage in it.
Oh, which one was it?
Mandy.
The one where he doesn't say a word?
No, he says a lot.
Oh, okay.
What caught my attention was this viral thing of Cheddar Goblin.
Cheddar Goblin.
Yeah, it's a commercial that plays in the movie. And it's like, it's a cheesy cartoon. It's a cheesy commercial from like the 90s that they're parodying. It's two kids sitting down to try and eat some mac and cheese. A mac and cheese like product, and it's called Cheddar Goblin. And they're like, where did it all go? Cheddar Goblin, did you eat all the mac and cheese? And it cuts to the doorway, and there's this little green goblin. Nothing's better than cheddar.
The hell?
Cheddar Goblin.
That almost sounds like a real commercial.
It could have been. And so he comes up, he's like next to the table, and he like starts vomiting it's a little puppet, and starts vomiting mac and cheese all over these kids, and they're like, yay! Cheddar Goblin! Cheddar Goblin! As they're just being like covered in mac and cheese, and it's all over the table and everything, and these kids are like just having a grand old time. Yay!
Alrighty then.
I'll find it and send it to you later. It is disturbingly happy. Like, because you can tell in these kids' faces, they're actually enjoying this. They're having a good time.
This sounds like a Trunk Monkey commercial. And you know what I'm talking about, the Trunk Monkey commercials.
Oh my lord. Wasn't that like SNL, like back in the 90s?
I think so, yes. And I laughed at all of them. I searched every single one of them.
And no one steals your car when you have Trunk Monkey. Guy in a girl suit just like, ah!
Anyway, so I was at the brink of telling you a story about work, but for privacy reasons, I won't say where I work.
It's at.
Shut up. But we do a level of security, and unfortunately, the hours that I work,
kind of low level.
The hours that I work, we get all the crackheads. They like to show up and.
Has Hunter Biden been there?
Run amok. There was one guy that I nicknamed him, even though I wasn't involved in the initial time that he was there. I nicknamed him Mr. Buttplug. Go ahead and ask.
I am not going to ask, and I don't need the YouTube strike. I'm struggling for exposure as it is.
All right. Well, he left behind a container with a significant amount of crystal-like substance.
Okay.
Right? That is typically used in prison to hide in the prison pocket.
Okay.
Now, it must have fallen out of his back pocket, not his prison pocket, because I've seen the pictures, and the container was clean. Maybe suspiciously clean. But.
Oh.
Anyway.
I knew that was happening.
Anyway, we realized he was on property, and even though I wasn't involved in the initial incident, it fell onto me to issue him a ban from the property. So the interaction was pretty straightforward. The guy was very energetic, which made me believe that he might have already taken something. Looking at his pupils, definitely looked like it.
Oh, were they about this big?
I know. Yes, it looked like I could fall into them into the abyss. Anyway, so this guy...
Actually kind of hurt a little.
Yeah. This guy willingly gives me his name, his information. I'm like, all right, well, my name is so-and-so. And the reason I'm talking to you today is because your last visit a couple months ago, you dropped something. Do you remember dropping something?
No.
And of course, he's like, no, I don't remember. Something that might have been less than legal. Oh. And you see it, the realization hit his face, and he doesn't deny it. I mean, he doesn't confirm it, but he doesn't deny it. But I got all the confirmation I needed. I'm like, you remember now? He's like, no. I'm like, you don't have to admit it. Okay. You don't have to admit it. Okay.
Okay.
I did my due diligence. You're banned from the property. You can't come back. Blah, blah, blah. And he walked out. I mean, all the energy, all the, everything just kind of left him. And when he realized, oh, that's what happened to the several.
That was probably some expensive stuff.
It was a good amount. It was it was not an insignificant amount. I've got to say, the container was yay big.
So is that how you got the rims on your car?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, of
Just
course.
asking.
Anyway,
It may or may have not have made its way to the evidence locker. It may have been fenced.
of course, it was properly disposed of.
Of course.
Yes. Anyway.
Yeah, left on the floor of the floor of the hallway in the west wing.
Yep. Anyway.
We still, the FBI is looking into it. They're going to figure out whose cocaine that was in the White House. They're going to find it, and they're going to let us know.
Yeah, right.
As soon as they finish figuring that out, right after they find the Epstein client list, the Elaine Maxwell client list, and figure out who actually erased all of Hillary's emails. And like that, YouTube hates me.
Yes, of course. Epstein didn't kill himself. What?
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 I don't know.
Anyway.
So since YouTube is definitely not going to be making any money for me, we have self-sponsored. So this episode is brought to you by Apparel by Davis. We are self-sponsoring. I make shirts now. They are available on Etsy. Link in the description below. Check out this bad boy.
It's pretty sexy.
Yes. Oh, there's bottles in the way.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah. This is the Lord of Inferno, Lord of Flames, wielder of the Sword of Inferno, defender of the Fire Realm.
What's his name?
I don't know.
Bob.
Sparky.
His name is Bob.
Tim.
Tim.
There are those who call me Tim. You know that one.
Yes.
Okay.
Hooray. It's okay.
And I have a surprise for you.
What is my surprise?
I'm glad you asked.
I have a surprise. It's a surprise.
Well, of course I'm not going to tell you if you ask.
What's the surprise? Should I close my eyes?
Yes.
Okay. Eyes closed.
This is for you. Now you may open your eyes.
Hey! Matching shirt.
Yeah.
What size is this?
It's a small.
Dude, I'm not a small.
You've always been a small.
No, I'm not a small anymore.
Fat ass.
I'm a medium now. Cena's going to take this.
Okay.
It's okay. Cena will steal this.
Well, she steals all your stuff anyways.
She really does. I got
Welcome to married life.
I got a Samurai Kitty T-shirt for my birthday 2 years ago. It is no longer my shirt. It is her shirt. Like, it's Samurai Kitty. I'm like, yes, it's Samurai Kitty. And it's Asian. I'm like, well, that's to be determined. I mean, how do you determine whether a cat's Asian? No, it's Asian because it's Samurai Kitty, so it's mine.
It doesn't have to make sense. Welcome to married life.
It is what it is.
I have bought shirts that became hers. Yes.
Yes, that is usually what ends up happening.
That is exactly what happens sometimes.
Yep, every time.
What is yours is hers, and what's hers is hers.
Yep, exactly.
Unless you're stealing her underwear for strictly comfort reasons.
I don't think I fit in any of them.
Have you tried?
No.
Only one way to find out.
Okay. I'll put that in my things to do. Kinky.
She might be into it. You never know.
That's weird.
Lords of Acid wrote a song about that one time.
Oh, Jesus.
Girl comes home, finds her guy dressed in her clothes, and decides she likes it.
Alrighty then.
The lyrics were, or the chorus was, I like it. Hey, 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 I like it. It's kind of kinky in a way.
Speaking of kinky.
Oh, Lord.
All right. So
what else did you find in the bathrooms at work?
No. I mentioned my birthday, and as I promised most of my friends, if they came, they would see me in a kilt. All right.
I wasn't unaware of this promise, but I was wondering why you were wearing a kilt.
Because I promised that I would for my birthday, and I got more people to show up by promising that I'd wear a kilt. I wore my kilt.
Nice.
Yes. A very awkward situation did happen while I was at the bar, where two of my friends were asking if I was wearing it traditionally.
Yeah.
Of course, I was like, oh, no, of course I'm not.
No, he
But
wasn't. I checked.
They had to check. They had to check.
I did. You were sitting down.
If the roles were reversed, mind you, it's fine when you're doing it. I know you. I've known you for years. They have not known me for years. But they, of course, insist on checking. If the roles were reversed and I was lifting their skirts, there would be problems. We would no longer be friends. That's not, that's so unfair. Meanwhile,
right.
They snuck a peek of my underwear, and they're like, oh, that was it. That's where it ended.
Yeah, they're just disappointed.
Yeah. But what if I had said, yes, I'm wearing it traditionally, and they lifted my skirt?
Though they would have been disappointed.
Fuck you. There's a reason my nickname is Man Meat.
Well, I just meant that they would have seen your boxers, so...
No, if I was wearing it traditionally.
Oh, if you actually had been traditionally.
Yes.
Oh, well.
Then they would not have been disappointed.
I mean, it was a little cold in there.
I would have been fine. I would have been fine. Then they would have only been half impressed.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Beth bought me a kilt. Well, fortunately, she bought me a kilt that I like. I wanted one. But unfortunately, buying clothes through the internet can be tricky, and I am way too big for it. So
Yeah.
I have to try and lose like 30 pounds before I have any hope of fitting into this thing decently. Because otherwise, it just looks weird.
No, it took 3 tries before we found a size that was me. So kilts are a little different
And expensive.
and expensive.
Why are they so doggone expensive?
I don't know. It's less material than the pants I'm wearing right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's so weird. When Beth and I were at a rent fair earlier this year? Yes. And I was in line to get something to eat, and there was another guy there. I think he was a staff member. He was working there. And he's all appareled up as just a townsfolk.
Okay. But shh, shut your mouth.
That was your phone.
Yes.
So he's all, he's just got, normal peasant garb, some pants, tunic, shirt, cap, what have you. The shirt he was wearing, he said he paid like $300 for it.
Jesus.
Yes.
It's a shirt.
But it's handmade cotton or wool or whatever it is.
No.
And that's what gets me. Some of this like period clothing and things like that. Why? This makes no sense to me. That thing's $20. It was custom made.
Very nice.
Yeah. These are like, I mean, I did silk screening for 4 years. I know that that's not easy. Although I think this may have been what they call sublimated or something like that. I forget what the actual term is, but yeah. And so I know that printing things like this on fabric is dicey, and it's a process, and there's machinery, and wow. Although I will say this, if if you do decide to buy a shirt from me and you get one and it kind of smells a little funny, yeah, I noticed that too. You have to launder it, let it hang out a little bit, maybe run it through the... I washed it cold on cold and then threw it in the tumble dryer, ran it through there twice, and then it's just right as rain. Perfect fit.
There you go. I experimented a while back ago. This is before we met. There's a social media site.
What was his name? Anybody I know?
No. Social media site called My Yearbook.
Is this a Grinder?
I believe it's now called Meet Me. Sounds kind of gay.
Yes, it does.
Anyway.
Sounds very hookup-ish.
Anyway, yeah, it does sound very hookup-ish. So it was supposed to be a social media site, My Yearbook, and I thought it was fine the way it was. It turned more kind of like a dating site recently.
Because most things do.
Of course. And anyway, so I'd post on there constantly under a moniker. I don't even remember what it was anymore. But I had a lot of followers. I just tell jokes. I just post weird things, whatever it was. And I had a following, and I didn't actually even post my face. It was just a cartoon face that I had that I randomly made. And I started editing it and dressing it up in Christmas attire if it was Christmas, Halloween attire if it was Halloween, whatever it was. And of course, I'd post more jokes and whatever. But I had a good following of maybe 4,000 or 5,000 people.
Nice.
And I don't know why. Anyway, so I decided I'd try an experiment. Let's see if I can make any money. So I put a vote up, and I said, would any of you buy T-shirts if I made T-shirts? A lot of them said yes. I got a very positive response. So I went on ahead and I had T-shirts made, and I wasn't making a lot of money at the time, like at all.
No. Being a security guard? No, you don't.
No. So I put a good $500-$600 of my own money down to make these T-shirts, and of course I had to sell them for a high price to make that money back.
Oh yeah.
Meanwhile, everyone was asking for a free T-shirt, and yeah, I gave out quite a bit of them, and sold the rest. And I barely broke even. Of course, people complained about the price. Like, I have to make somewhat of a profit. It was something stupid like official member of the J fan club, I think is what it said. And it had the stupid little monkey face that I made on the shirt. They were really cheesy, low quality shirts. But people ate them up.
Nice.
But I realized that to make a profit, I would really have to, because I gave away some of them. Yeah. Just the bare minimum, and then I barely broke even with the rest. That was it.
Yep.
Yeah. I made no real profit with that, and I decided I can't put that much money into making that many T-shirts with the hope that people will actually buy them, because they'll get bored of them.
Yeah.
They will. No one's going to buy silly T-shirts constantly when I only have a following of 4,000 or 5,000 people.
Yeah. Well, I don't even have that. My social media engagement is nil.
Yeah, I was getting a lot. But someone figured out who I was. Yeah. Someone figured out who I was because I would actually tell some of my friends, hey, look at the silly thing that I'm doing. And I guess one of them just went on ahead and put who I was. And from there, people started figuring things out. Someone took a picture of my car.
Oh, you're getting doxxed.
Yeah, that was pretty close to getting doxxed. So I tore it all down. I got rid of it all.
If you engage in the internet, dude, you got to be okay with being a somewhat public, any sort of somewhat public figure. And that was something that was interesting. I was listening to Timcast IRL, and big fan of theirs. And they were talking about something that celebrity endorsements, because it's an election year, it seems like celebrity endorsements are becoming less and less important. They were talking about Taylor Swift has endorsed Kamala.
Right.
a person who has made a living writing songs about her bad decisions and misjudging people and trusting the wrong person and getting her heart broken, has endorsed Kamala Harris for president. Make of that what you will. Think about it. But what's interesting is somebody did a survey of her fan base, or at least an alleged fan base, and asked them, does this encourage you to vote for Kamala? Yes, no, don't care. Overwhelmingly, about 76% of the fan base said, don't care. I think it was about 9% who said, yes, this encourages me to vote for Kamala. The remainder there, I think it's about, what's the math on that? 76 plus 9 is 85. So 15. The other 15% said no. In fact, it's some of those 15 said the opposite. It's like, no, this encourages me to vote for Trump.
Yeah, I don't feel like talking about politics. It pops up on my social media too often.
It's an election year. That's all it is.
This really is. And I hear about it at work all the time. It's starting to really tick me off. Hey, can we get your opinion? No, shut up. I don't care. They're both shitbags. I don't want to hear it. And sometimes, just to annoy them, like I'll just start ranting about how I hate the person that they're voting for. Well, who the fuck are you going to vote for?
Garfield the cat. He hates Mondays.
Yeah. What fucking business is it of yours? Okay. So I remember getting a letter in the mail. These assholes. When your voter information's out there and accessible to the public, which it always is, they will threaten to use it against you. Yes, I received a letter saying that my voter information is available, which they did show me a copy in that letter, and they can release it to the public. I wrote them back using very careful words, and sending them back their own personal address, because these are people that are working to endorse whatever person was running that during that election year. So I sent them their own home address, their work address, and their phone numbers, and the phone numbers of their loved ones, because I can't threaten them directly. But I can at least let them know I know who the fuck you are, because you had to put your real name on there. Look, if you're going to threaten someone, do it properly. Like, how about I go to your place of business and your home address and your daughter's home address and your son-in-law's home address? Oh, by the way, here's their email address, and here's your email address. I've sent you an email with a picture of their daughter, just to scare the absolute fuck out of them. I wouldn't actually act on any of that, or would I? But they need to know you can't threaten someone by doxing their voter information. Look, I vote however the fuck I feel like it. And if you're gonna, I'm sorry, I cursed again.
I've been doing it a lot. Yeah.
Yes, but if you're
making me work harder,
I'm sorry. But if you're gonna threaten me, look, a dude that literally served in the military with the toughest of the toughest, the roughest of the roughest, and stared down things that actually scared me, things that would make me poop myself. There, see, better. Don't come at me at my own place of residence with vague threats of releasing my voter information. Oh, I'm so scared. Let me actually scare you. I know where you live. I know where you sleep. I know where your parents sleep. I know where your kids sleep.
Sorry, I just saw that scene from Tommy Boy. Where they're on the boat and those kids are on the shore like, stupid, you're so stupid. She stands up. I know where you live and I've seen where you sleep, and I swear to God your parents will cry blood when they see what I've done to you.
Now, vague enough threats. You got to leave them with vague enough threats. And every once in a while you get the uber Christian people that that'll send you letters as well. Of course, because they got to tie in their religion to who they're voting for.
Oh, yes.
So I send them a pamphlet for the Satanic Temple. You gotta strike the fear of God and Satan in them. Look, my point being is, I'm an evil little Do not threaten me. I will get to you.
I respond to him with, sorry, I don't go for these modern religions. May Odin bless you.
Cheers.
May Odin guide you. Crazy modern religions.
Sometimes I decide to say Zeus instead.
Yeah, that works too.
Yeah. And every once in a while, whenever I'm dealing with someone, sometimes at work, where they say, you get the people that say, "Oh, God bless you," which is their way of saying, "Well, fuck you." Again, I'm sorry.
As I said, that takes some very deep context. I mean, a lot of people say that when you sneeze.
Well, after a very tense meeting, confrontation, and of course they'll say, "Oh, you have a blessed day." Of course, it's all in the tone.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Or when they say, "Well, Jesus loves you." My favorite line, my favorite comeback to that is, "I'm Jewish." I'm not, but they don't know that.
I mean, there are some subtle ways of you can really stab at somebody there and say it's like one of my favorites. May you have all the joy in life that you bring to those around you.
That's pretty good.
That's a very subtle go stick yourself.
Yes. Now, I did have an opportunity to kick out a very unsavory character. And I was the only one that could do it.
Really?
Yes, because this guy did not speak a lick of English.
That always grinds my gears.
It does, because they do understand. 90% of the time, trust me, they understand. They just love to weaponize. Perdón, yo no entiendo. Habla español. Habla español. They understand.
Oh, I just start throwing gibberish, German, and Welsh at them. Because nuts to you. You came to my country.
Well, lucky for them, yo hablo español. So, at the time, my bosses, of course, didn't understand a lick of English. So I had the pleasure of tastefully telling him to get the F out. In Spanish. And of course, they didn't understand a word I was saying. And I just had to make sure I controlled the tone of what I was saying. I could tell them to go lick Satan's butthole in Spanish, and they wouldn't have understand what I was saying. Which I did say something along those lines. Yes. All the while saying, of course, repeating the line, lárgate, which means get out, get the F out, get the hell out. And just putting it in a professional and happy tone. And of course, the guy just kept getting angrier and angrier. And of course, my bosses, who don't understand what's happening, are on my side because I seem to be very professional.
Well, if you really want to confuse somebody, throw Shantara.
Shatara. What's that mean?
If I'm probably getting the pronunciation wrong. Shantara. I'm probably getting a little bit wrong. That is calling someone the son of a female dog.
That's pretty good.
In Armenian.
That's good.
You throw that out there, that'll really throw them for a loop.
Now, if I'm remembering this correctly from the cartoon Archer, Orkia Bakrichud Survalajin. Yes, that is Urdu for something along the lines of go to hell, you goat.
Lover?
Goat loving demon or something along those lines. Yes. I don't know. I got to look it up again to see if I'm even saying it right. Show. But anyway, Orkia Bakrichud Survalajin. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Somebody let us know in the comments section.
Yes, I'm probably butchering it right now because I'm remembering it wrong. But
I've been slowly picking up Armenian from my boy Levon.
Oh.
He is straight out of the home country there.
Nice.
He grew up. I have got to get this guy in here and get stories out of him. He's got dozens. Because he grew up when Armenia was still part of Soviet Union.
Mm.
Yes.
How did he survive? Lots of vodka.
Lots of vodka. We make jokes about that too. He still has photos of him when he was in the Soviet Army. Because back then, in those times, it was what's the word I'm looking for? Mandatory, yes. Military conscription was mandatory, military service. So you did, I think it was 3 years in the Russian Army, Soviet Army. And so when one of our youngsters was like, wait, what? Levon was in the Russian Army? I was like, well, to be more precise, he was in the Soviet Army, which means he grew up in Armenia when it was still under Soviet Union, which means when you turn 18, you have two options. You can either be guard in Gulag or be guest of Gulag. Either way, you go to Gulag. In Siberia.
That's no fun.
No, and my God, he was buff.
I imagine so, yeah.
He was a buff. He is a scrawny man now, but he was pretty buff. He had this cutest baby cheeks. He had this huge baby face. He's 19 years old. Like this manly, muscular body. Of course, he's shirtless in the snow. Because of course.
Yes.
What is East Europe? I don't know why they all do this. They all stand shirtless in the snow.
Because they are manly men.
I guess.
And the cold does not bother them. Plus, the vodka. It helps.
You see, Ivan, when dressed like this, you work harder because you are afraid of freezing to death.
Also, vodka.
So vodka. I love those memes. You know, you see, Ivan, when shoot gun, it's like somebody with a soldier with a pistol. You see, Ivan, when shoot gun like this, your aim is so much better for fear of blowing off fingers.
Jesus.
Or, somebody will have a shovel shoved into like their shotgun or something like that. You'll see, Ivan, when you shoot ammo like this, you not only kill your enemy, but also bury him in one shot.
Let's see.
In Soviet Union, sniper rifle fires you.
Yes. That sounds about right, actually. Jesus.
It's a picture of like a trooper like being flung into the air by something. That's what, he's like got his rifle and he's like midair.
Some of the best things that came out of Soviet Russia were some of their weapons. Some of their weapons.
The AK-47 and 74 are durable freaking rifles.
Yes, they were built to freaking last. They are still amazing rifles, and I will die on that hill. They're good rifles.
Yes. It's the one thing they can do right.
Yeah, so the AK-74, I have had the pleasure of not firing, but watching American troops use it, and it is very accurate. When you put a skilled a service member behind an AK-74 that knows what the hell they're doing,
yeah.
And you put some American sights on that bad boy, because America.
ACOG!
They can do some amazing things with those things. And, of course, throw in a little bit of American and Canadian ammunition. Yes, Canadian ammunition is actually pretty good.
Canada wasn't always the butt of a joke.
Not always.
Just in recent years.
Yes. In fact, I think the world record for the longest snipe still belongs to a Canadian.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they used American ammunition.
Yeah.
So I have to stress that. It was with the use of American ammunition.
That's just American ego talking.
Look, they met a couple of American Marines, and they were running a little low on ammunition. The Marines were like, hey, try some of this. And they're like, why? What's the difference between this 50 cal round and this 50 cal round? This burns hotter. Shoots farther. Have fun. It actually, they had to do what, of course, most people know as Kentucky windage to properly aim. They had to guess. They had to guess because that ammunition was going further than what the rifle could possibly, what the rifle's
Sighting was for?
sighting was for, exactly.
Nice.
And that's how they got the frickin' record.
Nice.
Yes, they did really well. And of course, those freedom seeds went straight to a bunch of terrorist scum.
Nice.
So, well planted freedom seeds from our friends up north.
Yes. The Canadian military, despite their politicians, the Canadian military can be some very effective people.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, if they run out of ammunition, they could just go after them with their hockey sticks or whatever.
Come on, I was trying to let them have this one.
No, I'm not. I don't give a crap. Hey, hockey's a violent sport.
Yes, it is. Oh my God, I'd rather watch that than soccer.
Yes, agreed.
rather
We circled around. We give it back to them.
I mean, I'd rather watch hockey than the NFL.
I'm not much of a sports person, but yeah, I probably could agree.
I've lost all respect for the NFL, and recently the Major League Baseball is going about the same way. For a good while, we were a Giants household, but the ownership has drove it into the ground, and they're running it the way a soulless, nameless, faceless corporations are ran. More profit for the guys at top. We don't care if the product sucks.
Well, that blows.
It does. It's really disheartening. It's really heartbreaking because it was fun. I mean, the main thing that attracted it, and Beth and I have talked about this, is like the reason we stopped paying attention to it. Back in, we got on the train, on the bandwagon when they were winning World Series.
Mm-hmm.
Back in, we got on the back one in I think it's 13. So we saw that year, we saw 14, and then we saw 15. We were like, and the commercials those guys were making, they made the clubhouse, the Giants clubhouse, this wellspring of personality. The players were fun guys, having fun, doing fun things, playing a game, and it just oozed fun. I mean, they made these commercials. One of them was it was a mock novella.
Okay.
It was what was it called? You had Sergio Romo, Javier Lopez. So you have two Spanish guys, and then the whitest of white guys, Buster Posey.
Okay.
Whose real name is Gerald, so even white, I mean, just to make him even whiter. And cannot act at all.
That just makes it more fun.
Yes, it does. And the fact that they did their own sound effects. And they did it like this,
It sounds like an SNL skit.
Romo and Lopez were both, they had the shirt open, the silk shirt, and it's open to expose their manly chest. And Lopez looks like Freddie Mercury. He's got the mustache, the short hair, and everything. He looks like a young Freddie Mercury.
Okay.
So, and it was called Passion La Passion.
Jesus.
Passion of Passion, yes.
Okay.
And they're talking about, and the whole script is they're talking about this souvenir giveaway that's started up and it's not going to end or anything like that or something like that. But they're saying it in a really dramatic way, like they talk on the novellas. They are giving away the Buster Hugs blankets. It's all in Spanish.
Jeez.
Because it's a novella.
Of course, yes.
Telemundo.
Yeah.
And it's like, every time one of them turns their head, the blankets you get for being, the first ones in line. See. When will this end? Never. It will always burn true and strong. Just over the top. It's like, this is fun. They don't do that anymore.
You reminded me. I make fun of novellas. I make fun of soap operas. Look, they're corny to me.
They are corny. They've been recycling the same plot lines for 80 years.
They have, yes. Anyway.
They've been recycling the same plot lines before television was invented. General Hospital started as a radio broadcast in the 30s. Mm-hmm. Look it up.
It's still the most long-running, or was the long... Wait, no.
No, it is.
It is?
It is. Oh. I'm pretty sure it's still going.
Jeez.
There are actors who have spent their entire career from childhood on in these shows.
Sounds about right. All right. Cena watches what she calls Thai dramas.
Okay.
Look, they're just telenovelas in a different language. They're just soap operas in a different language, and I'll jump right in and immediately tell. Oops, I don't understand a word they're saying, and I already know. So this is the rich business lady, right? I'm like, yeah. Well, it's pretty obvious. She's wearing a suit, and she's pretty cold-hearted, and that's the guy that she's interested in. But he has no love for her. He's in love with this poor girl over here, and at this point she's telling me to shut up.
Because you're ruining the story, Jay.
Because she already knows that I know. And look, and I'll every once in a while I'll just sit there and I'll watch. I'm like,
God, Jay, spoilers.
Hey, so who's the beloved old person in this show? It's like, how do you know there is one? Look, there's always a beloved old person, and they will die. Shut up. And yes, a couple days later, how did you know they were gonna die? Because they always die.
And there's a secret will.
Yes, and when they die, they spill the beans. There's a secret plot twist. They'll say this secret.
Usually a out of wedlock child.
Something. There's always a secret. You know, maybe their love interest. Bobby. Maybe your brother. And they're dead. And, you know, now they got to deal with that.
Dun, dun.
Now they got to deal with that. And that's a real thing that actually did happen in a telenovela that I remember. Oh, Bobby might be your brother. And then, of course, they got to verify whether or not he is, and eventually they find out that they're not, and they're like, we can be together, you're not my brother. Ah. Yes, it's the same thing. I called it. It always happens. And there's always some, and of course, now, another thing that I've realized that has existed for maybe a decade or more, there's always a funny character that happens to be gay.
That might be a more recent thing.
Yeah, I've realized that exists, and it has existed for a good while now. So who's the comedic relief gay character? And she looks at me like, how do you know? I just know, okay, there's going to be an over-the-top, hilarious gay character now. There always is, now.
Well, okay. Making them gay, or at least openly gay, might be a more recent thing, but there's almost always a over-the-top, flamboyant person.
Yes. I think that
you need that. That goes all the way back to vaudeville.
Yes.
That goes all the way back to like the Laurel and Hardy, because you need the over-the-top and the straight man.
There has to be a flamboyant character, yes.
Abbott and Costello. That's what I mean. Vaudeville. Back when you just had two guys standing on stage and a microphone doing stuff. You know, who's on first? You need an over-the-top and the straight man. You need that contrast. I mean, even in Frasier, the over-the-top, flamboyant person, Niles.
There you go.
The straight guy, Frasier. The even straighter-laced person, Marty. But you always need that. I mean, all that goes all the way back to, like, Three's the Company. You know, there was always that person that's slightly ambiguous because the further back you go, the less acceptable it was to have somebody be openly gay in a TV show. And, like, get all the way back in the 50s.
I think just being flamboyant and having that question out there was the joke.
Yeah. Or they could just be an alien.
Or they could just be an alien.
No.
There you go. The point is, in every language, I know novellas.
Yes.
I know soap operas.
They're always the same.
I can write one in my sleep.
Well, you know, we can't all be Ron Sterling, okay?
Speaking of which,
Oh,
okay.
Lord.
Oh,
What can of
jeez.
worms did I open now?
Oh, no. All right. So I like writing short horror stories. It's something that I've done for a while.
I'm gonna have to feature a few of those. I mean, it is Halloween. I got the banner
Yeah,
up. I got that.
there
You know,
you
I
go.
got the front yard's all decorated up.
One that actually was pretty well received was a more realistic horror story called what did I call it? Best Investment. Yes. So that one is a more family based horror story. There's no paranormal or real monsters or ghosts in it.
Good.
It was just realistic shock value. And that's what I was going for, shock value.
That is usually the scariest thing. The more plausible the monster or the killer, the more plausible it is, the scarier it is.
And I actually got some negative feedback from it, like, this isn't horror, this is just disgusting. Like, maybe horror is not your genre, lady, but it was good. I mean, if it got that visceral effect from you, that visceral reaction, then I have accomplished what I set out to do. But
Do you have these online anywhere?
yes, I do. My old channel, I'd rather not actually expose my face and that channel because
Okay.
I've always hidden my face. But it's out there. Maybe some other time when I feel a little bit more comfortable coming out for that channel. Part of the thing was not showing my face.
Okay. Having
Yeah.
a layer of anonymity,
Yeah.
using a pen name.
Yeah. But
Get you a horse mask.
yeah, you might be able to find a Best Investment out there, which is
Okay.
a really good story, in my opinion. But where I was going with this was I like writing. One of the easiest things that I've ever written was a love story. And I did it, this is before we met, I did it for a girl that I was dating at the time.
Huh.
Yes. And I called that story Penny for Your Thoughts. Yes, Penny for Your Thoughts. And of course, the female protagonist in that story, her name was Penny. Anyway, so the story was smut. Oh, God, I hated it. It was so easy to write. I didn't finish it. So I had
Now, when you say smut, are we talking like straight porn or?
It was straight women porn. Look, it's porn in the written form is what it was.
So Lavrel Spencer's Daniel Steele.
It was disgusting and surprisingly easy to write. Yeah. I referenced a couple of others. You know, I went on ahead and read 2 books just so that I could have some better knowledge. Look, geez, this is straight porno.
Okay, so when you finish there, I have a story about women porn later.
Okay. Anyway, so I got to writing for her, and she loved it. You know, I got maybe 6 or 7 chapters done. I had tragedy, I had romance, I had doubt and beauty and beast and everything. It was all in there. Anyway, things didn't quite work out with me and this girl. Things really didn't work out with me and this girl.
Is that the one you refer to as Mantrap?
No.
Oh, okay.
She was previously married. She was divorced. And she kept bringing up her ex-husband.
Ooh, that's a red flag.
That was a big red flag.
That is a danger.
Yes. And whenever she was particularly mad at me for something stupid, something that I labeled girl moves, and we'll get into that some other time,
Okay.
which she did a lot. For example, she'd be like, I'm mad at you. Okay, well, let's sit down and talk about it. No, you have to figure it out and apologize for it. Be a freaking adult. Let's sit down and talk about it. No, she'd give me the silent treatment. Big red flag.
Yep.
Anyway,
That's when it's time to run, boys. Run!
all right, so I broke up with her. It was one of the rare times where I'm the one doing the breaking up. I broke up with her, and I finished the story abruptly. by making Penny off herself. and I sent her the finished I sent her that last chapter and leaving all the questions unanswered. I didn't give a crap. Story's over. It was smut anyway. It was too easy to write. I mean, I could have finished it like that and probably published it and made a little bit of money, but it's easy. It's really easy to write. It is smut. It is I mean, not to crap on people that love this stuff, ladies, but
And I can make it even easier.
yeah.
Okay, so one thing women constantly complain about is men watching porn and men watching movies or shows that have women in them that have like the perfect body or whatever. Thank you.
Yeah. Mango's actually pretty good.
Mango, hard mango. Okay, so every Michael Bay movie has a blonde girl, a well-endowed blonde girl in it.
Always.
Always. And women look at things like that. I'm just going to pick on Michael Bay because he does two things in every movie. Blonde girl with big boobs and lots of explosions.
Yep.
That's his MO. That's what, you go there, expect that. And women look at things like that and say, ugh, dumb. That's such an unreasonable expectation of women's bodies. It's an unreasonable expectation, or porn, unreasonable expectation of women. Okay, fair enough. Men don't have to live up. Actually, we do. Women are more likely to read novels than watch porn, a video.
All right.
Okay, different format, same purpose. Stimulating the erogenous zone of the brain. Different format, same purpose. Women are more likely to read spicy novels, sex novels, porn novels. Okay? 50 Shades of Grey.
That was an awful book.
It was. I got it from the library because I was not going to spend my own money on that. I got to the third, it was 9 discs. I got like halfway through the third disc before I decided I was done. I got this from the public library for free, and I felt I needed a refund. I wanted my 2 hours back.
If you don't mind me adding, had the rich a-hole in that book been a broke bastard, I can say bastard, right? Yeah. Had he been a broke bastard, everything he did was assault,
Battery,
rape. Yeah, no, the dude was creepy, but it's acceptable because he's rich and handsome.
And that is one of the 5 archetypes.
Explain.
In these women's porn, these novels, these stories that women go to, that is their porn, okay? Unreasonable expectations? Fine. At least the women in the Michael Bay movies are actually people. The 5 most common tropes that you will find in there: werewolf, vampire, pirate, billionaire, doctor.
Holy crap. You're not wrong.
50 Shades of Grey, Pirates of the Caribbean, Twilight. I'm drawing a blank on doctor.
The soap operas.
There you go.
There you go. Soap operas.
Soap operas.
Dr. Sexy.
Dr. Sexy, yeah. But it's like Pirates of the Caribbean. And then I was talking to Beth about this, and I was like, 50 Shades of Grey. And exactly what she said. If he had been a broke person, no. He wouldn't have gotten away with anything he did. I didn't even finish the book. I just read the synopsis. I'm just like, I cannot subject my brain to this garbage. And I found better things to do with my time that night. So, didn't finish that. But I was talking about, and I was like, come on, Pirates of the Caribbean. She's like, pirates? I was like, Pirates of the Caribbean. It's like, yeah. Every woman sitting in the theater where the first movie came out, every woman sitting in there when Jack shows up on screen, he's up on the crow's nest of that little dinghy boat, and Beth's like, yeah, because when he came onto the screen, every woman in the audience went, oh.
And I don't understand why. Look, he was dirty, right? He was always drunk.
Mm-hmm.
He was irresponsible, and he did not set roots anywhere.
Nope.
He was constantly, and he was a criminal.
He was a criminal. He lied. He was broke. He was dirty. Probably smelled bad and drunk. He was everything every woman hates, and yet. As the story progressed, Orlando Bloom becomes just like him in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
So women start to swoon over him. Now there is a sixth one that gets a little bit less play. Elves.
Oh,
Legolas.
of course.
Yes.
Of course.
The return of the Y boner. The androgyny of elves. I don't understand it, but for some reason it works with many women.
Did you notice he only ever speaks to Frodo once in all the movies? Just once, directly. He speaks to him once. Can you remember that one time?
Nope, because I didn't care. I watched the first one once, and then I was subjected to it a few times, and then I watched the second and third ones each once.
It was only the scene where he says, you know, and my bow. And that's it. 2 words. 2 words. He says 2 words to Frodo. That's it.
3, but whatevs.
Whatever. 3 words, and my bow, and that was it. And he never really speaks to him again. Ever. Look for it. Look for it. He does not speak to him directly ever again.
Challenge laid out. Prove them wrong. Leave it in the comment section.
Yes. I've also read the books, and it bothers me. It bothers me that Gandalf's staff was shattered in what, the third movie? Third movie.
That was a long time ago for me.
No, it didn't. I said fa. It didn't freaking happen in the books. But I think the movies were just trying to prove something. I don't know. Regardless, movies and books different.
Yeah, one thing that I had against it was I had already read the books, so I was already kind of jaded, I guess, expecting things. Actually, I think I'd seen the first book, or I'd seen the first movie, and I think the second one, and then Beth had the book, so I read all of those. So, and then by the time I got to the third one, I was like, it was alright.
I should reread the books.
I wasn't... The part of my brain that never shuts up and compares things and analyzes them wasn't able to speak as loud because I just cannonballed my way through the books. So then watching through the movies, I didn't have a strong basis of comparison. Because, yeah, I can't watch action movies. It just... There's too many technical errors. I can't. That part of my brain will not shut up. That's why I like sci-fi.
Sci-fi is fun.
Well, because, we're going to time travel through this wormhole and do things, and use technobabble to overcome the technobabble.
Of course.
And that part of my brain is just sitting there just... I have no point of reference. Good. Shut up and let me watch this. Yeah!
Star Trek.
Hell's yeah.
Yes.
The real Star Trek, not this modern crap. It is crap.
I don't know. Captain Picard is... Picard
was okay.
It's okay. Yes.
There were some glaring errors in there. There was one... I will never stop talking about it because it bugs the crap out of me. Guinan.
Explain.
Okay. There are 2 reasons the whole Guinan interaction bugs me. One is because it was preachy, over the top wokeness, preachy nonsense that's only contextual to the current environment, the current political environment. It's not going to age well. It already hasn't aged well. And also, the fact, and the bigger reason, more important, is canon. Anybody that grew up like I did, watching Star Trek The Next Generation, knows that Picard and Guinan are linked. They're in a causality loop that neither of them can escape from, and neither of them wants to escape from it because they're friends. They're friends because they've always been friends. They are in a causality loop. in Star Trek The Next Generation, it was a 2-episode season. It was a season ending and then beginning. It was 2 episodes where they go back and they actually meet Mark Twain.
Cool.
Data dies for the nth time. They killed Data so many times in that show. And they go back in time to, like the mid 1800s or whatever, and Picard's there, and he recognizes Guinan, introduces himself like, you wouldn't know this yet, but you and I are friends. And he starts talking to her, laying out this theory, and she's like, okay, I believe you. I'm surprised you knew who I am. The fact that you know these things about me, because he kind of tells her a few things about herself, like, there's no way you should have known that. The fact that about her past, because she's from, I'm drawing a blank on the name, a species that lives centuries. They can live almost indefinitely.
Getting Doctor Who vibes here.
Kind of. And it's like there's this huge rivalry between her and the Q. Her species and the Q.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think the Q had something to do with her species now becoming like almost extinct. Which wouldn't surprise me because the Qs are kind of dirt jerks. So he lays out these things. That's in the mid 1800s. Data has a full-on coffee with Samuel Clemens. Mark Twain. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Also known as Mark Twain. So explain to me how in the year early 2000s or whenever this is supposed to happen, Picard, and they go to San Francisco and they find her bar at 10 Forward Street, at number 10 Forward Street. Nice little tie-in, okay. Because the bar on the Enterprise D was 10 Forward.
Cute.
Okay, that's cute. I'll give you that one. Why it is she didn't recognize him. Not only is she younger, but she didn't recognize him.
Oh, they screwed up.
They screwed up big.
Mm-hmm.
She tries to kick him out of her bar. She should have been elated to see her old friend.
Is there any way she could have forgotten him?
No.
Yeah, they screwed up.
In fact, there was in the autobiography, in Picard's autobiography, which Beth got me for Christmas, which is awesome, by the way.
Cool.
And they did an excellent job with it. I choose to believe it was secretly written by Patrick Stewart because he is Picard. But no, it's like in the book, I'm flipping through this thing. It's like, no, there's got to be a clue. Who wrote this? On the computer, it's like, all it says, written by Jean-Luc Picard. Every source I could find says written by Jean-Luc Picard. It's like, how did they get away with this? There has to be somebody that wrote this. And in that book, it expands the causality back when he was just an ensign, when Picard was just a young, curly-haired ensign.
When he had hair.
He had hair. It was curly. And he was young. And his captain sent him on a mission down to a planet to collect things from the captain's ex-wife, Guinan. So Picard is lost, going through this jungle, and someone starts shooting at him.
Okay.
And he's like, hey, and she kind of stops, looks at him. Oh, I didn't recognize you with all that hair. How you doing, Jean-Luc? Wait, I didn't introduce myself yet.
He hadn't met her yet.
He hadn't met her yet.
But she knew him.
But she knew him.
Yeah, very Doctor Who-y.
Yes, they're in a causality loop.
Yes.
They're friends because they've always been friends. So the fact that they put in there that she didn't want to help him, didn't recognize him, didn't know him, wanted nothing to do with him, get out of my bar. Wrong!
Does she time travel at all?
No.
Oh, then.
Not that I know of.
Yeah, they messed up.
Yes, they messed up big. Picard's friend and confidant, causality loop person, didn't recognize him, didn't want to help him. Giant, glaring continuity error, and it really screwed with the plot.
Yeah, it's very annoying.
Yes, that is very annoying. It's more annoying than the woke preachiness.
Yeah. See, and I keep bringing up Doctor Who.
Yeah, well, that's because you're a Whovian.
Because
yes.
I am a Whovian, yes. And the Doctor met his wife in reverse. Yes, the first time he met her, unfortunately, he didn't know her. But at that point, it was the first time he met her, and it was the last time she would be alive. Yeah, she died in that episode.
Oh, heavy.
Yeah, she died in that episode. No, died. He saved her mind, put it in a book, and put the book in the largest library in the universe, which unfortunately had been taken over by a species of aliens that live in the shadows. One of the rules of Whovians is count the shadows. If you have more than one shadow, it's too late for you. Those aliens are already going to consume you. You're dead. And that's unfortunately what happened to his wife.
Dang.
Yes, he managed to save her mind, though, in a book. So, hooray. We see her sporadically throughout the show. They meet, like I said, in reverse. He kept a journal. Once again, you meet the journal. We mentioned a journal. And they have to compare journals so as they can catch up and see where they're at in their relationship.
Wow, this is kind of the incarnations of immortality by Pierce Anthony. Keeping that story arc in your head straight, because it's like 7 books, and it goes through all the time, death, war, the fates, past, present, and future, and who else? I forget who. But these are offices that are temporarily occupied by people. Even Satan is an office occupied by a person who gets the job, usually by killing the old one. Time can actually travel through time by turning his hourglass different ways and concentrating, and it turns the sand different colors. And his life, he's the only one that has a fixed time in office. His time runs backwards. Whenever he's on Earth, he's experiencing it backwards to him. He's slowly going backwards in his time. So the main one that happens in the book, to wield an hourglass, I think it is, he's 44 years old. So he has 44 years in the office of time. He is Kronos. And so he is experiencing it. And so I forget exactly how it works. The woman that is fate, nature. She is nature. She is the green mother nature. Is also his confidant and whatnot. Approaches him and says, and she's holding up signs telling him what to do. And she sees her walk towards him, and then pulls up these signs and starts telling him what to do and how to handle his hourglass. Like, how did she know? Because she's actually doing it backwards and then walking away from him. She knew where he was going to be. And so it's really hard to keep it all straight. It's been so long since I've read it. I have to reread that. It's a really great series. Pierce Anthony, Incarnations of Immortality.
That sounds pretty cool.
It is exceptional. If you like Terry Pratchett deep philosophy stuff, you will like this.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
Let me see. More recently, I've been caught up in the, speaking of books, Pendergast series, as most of the fans seem to call them. 2 authors writing books, Lincoln and Child. The first book being, what was it called? But in the first book, he's just an FBI agent that gets involved in the case. And I like to imagine him as being a little flamboyant, with a very deep Southern accent. But his style is...
Is there any particular reason, or is that just your man crush?
I feel because he's very tall. He is very pale. Look, the guy is basically a walking Q-tip. And he's very Southern by all appearances. He's always wearing a suit, and he's very polite, but he is no pushover. The guy is incredibly intelligent, very smart, but I feel that he conducts himself in an almost flamboyant manner on purpose. Yeah, the guy has a certain style to him. And, again, he's not gay, but I imagine him to conduct himself on that border. Just because it sounds both funny and somehow very manly. It's weird. It's a very weird balance, and I love this character. In one of the books, we finally... Because I was starting to get a little tired of the character because he doesn't seem to have any weaknesses.
That can bug when somebody's too overpowered.
Yes. But finally, in one of the books, he becomes such a depressing mess. It brought me back. I feel like the authors realized what they were doing. They're like, we can't make this guy too confident. We can't make him too...
Perfect.
Perfect, yes.
The hero needs to bleed just a little.
And damn, did he bleed. He gave up in that book. And the reins were handed over to a female protagonist who had to pull him out of this stupor. Bring back his confidence. And I'm glad they made a very powerful female character who has her own flaws. So that really brought me back, seeing that he can fail. I mean, he's made mistakes before, but he bounces back from them really, really fast and really well. Yeah, the guy is too good.
Nice.
So it felt good to see him be human for a change.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's always been one of our favorite pet peeves about a hero. The hero is better when they're more relatable, and watching them bleed is one of the best things. And that is why Indiana Jones and John McClane will always be some of the greatest movie heroes.
Absolutely.
Because you watch John McClane get the bloody snot beat out of him every step of the way. Mm-hmm. By the end of Die Hard 1, he's barely standing.
I mean, he walked through glass. Standing was hard.
Standing was hard. But he's tired. He hasn't had a thing to eat. He's out of smokes. You know he's probably dehydrated. He's just tired and done. He's been blown up, shot, walked on glass, so a little bit of blood loss. Mm-hmm. He's just been going through this. He's jet lagged.
Yep.
He's just done with it all.
Great movie. True or false?
Oh,
First Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
100% true.
Yes, thank you. All right, there we go.
Absolutely.
Definitely a Christmas movie.
Yep. If not one of the greatest Christmas movies ever.
Yes.
It's even got a happy ending.
It does. It was great.
I mean, it's got Bruce Willis in one of his best performances, Alan Rickman. What more could you want?
Alan Rickman.
Such a method actor. I was watching one video and talking about how he did his character. Alan Rickman actually did not like guns.
Really?
Yes. And that was one of the things that actually helped build the character of Hans. You could see him kind of limp-wristing his way through, and every scene he has a gun in, he's kind of limp-wristed with it.
Right.
And that kind of works with the character of Hans. Hans, he's well-educated. He's a college kid. He's a, frat boy, or not a frat boy, but a trust fund baby. He just brings that suave, vaguely East European university kid.
Yeah.
And so a university kid probably hasn't handled a lot of firearms versus the mercenaries he's hired. who are definitely familiar with them all. At least except for the computer nerd that breaks into it, who makes all these sports analogies as he's doing it, which is great because that brings so much comedy.
It was a really well-made movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
It really was. And one of the great ad-libs, because he's Alan Rickman and he has this kind of ability, as he's naming off all these actual terrorist groups around the world and making the demands to the FBI guys, and our brothers in the Asian Dawn. And, you know, the confusion, one of the other henchmen is standing here like, Asian Dawn? Read about them in Forbes. You know, ad-libbed that in, but it totally builds the character that Hans is a character. It is a person that would have been reading Forbes magazine, which is all this investment stuff.
Yeah. This is true. Yeah, and I remember watching this movie as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I
scaring values into your children. The 80s and the early 90s.
Yes.
Don Bluth scarred my childhood.
Freaking loved those movies. I loved action movies. I especially loved horror movies as a kid. I mean, the first horror movie I watched was when I was 5, and it was A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, which, by the way...
And he hasn't stopped touching himself while watching it since.
By the way, of course, still considered one of the gayest movies, and I'm not saying that in a negative or derogatory way. Celebrated as one of the gayest movies ever created. Look it up. It is hilarious. Now, for the longest time, I disliked this movie. Because I love Freddy Krueger.
Okay, yeah, the guy that gets sucked into his bed. Or
No, that was the first movie. By the way, that was also Johnny Depp's first movie.
Yes.
That was Johnny Depp getting sucked into his bed.
Okay.
Great first movie.
Oh, okay, you're talking about the guy that kills his friend. Second one.
In the second one, he kills a lot of people. And he does it in a very kind of gay way. Pretty gay. There's a lot of gay undertone in the movie. And, I mean, let me put it this way. Gay just isn't scary. It's comedic.
It was in the 80s, largely due to AIDS and bigotry.
There was that, yes. And this movie was made in the 80s.
Okay, so, I mean, this is something I tell people things. A lot of times, you have to take things in the context of the times that they were made. So, whether something seems weird or out of place or dumb, consider the environment in which it was made.
Regardless, there's other mistakes that were made. Look, Robert Englund, the man that plays Freddy Krueger, is 5'8". That's the average height of a man. It's not very tall.
No,
right? Compared
on
to
the short side. Yeah, I'm 5'10".
Yes, compared to Jason Voorhees, who stands 6 foot something or other, and Michael Myers, also a giant. These two guys are always looming over their prey.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Freddy Krueger is an average-sized dude. You do not place him next to a teenager who's clearly in his 30s, who is 6 foot plus.
And barrel-chested.
Captain
of the wrestling team or something.
It's not scary. You're seeing a very short man in makeup with a small handful of blades versus a football captain
who should be able to just drop kick Freddy.
Yes, and he says something that just doesn't seem to make sense at the time with tiki torches all around him. You're all my children now. Okay, weirdo, leave. It was awful. It was terrible. And again, when this guy realizes that he is killing people, that Freddy is taking over his body and killing people, instead of seeking the comfort and advice of his new redheaded girlfriend, he runs over to a dude's place who answers the door mostly naked. Again, gay undertones.
Yep.
And he says, "Watch me sleep."
Weird.
very weird. I mean, there's a lot of other things in this movie, but
Actually, I'll give that one a little bit of male psychology. In that, okay, his girlfriend probably could not I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. That because guys are a little more action oriented and women tend to be a little more emotionally oriented, guys are more focused on getting something done. Do the thing.
it's not just that. It's everything else. This teenager, when he can't sleep, he goes to a bar. Not just any bar.
A gay bar.
A gay bar. And who does he meet there? Oh no, it's his PE teacher, who then takes him back to the school in the middle of the night, forces him to run laps or something, and the next scene is in the shower, where Freddy takes him over again, and he then does some BDSM stuff to tie down his PE teacher coach, whips him a little bit. I know, right? After making him naked, and kills him. Gay undertones.
This movie hedged on being gay porn.
It really did, and it just felt awkward. It didn't feel scary. It felt awkward.
Okay. Is this movie gayer than the volleyball scene in Top Gun?
Yes,
Wow, that's pretty gay.
it's pretty gay.
That is pretty gay.
But it is celebrated in the LGBTQ community as one of the gayest movies. And you know what? The protagonist in that movie is actually gay. Unfortunately, this movie ruined his acting career. But you know what? Kudos to him, and kudos to Robert Englund for leaning into it.
Yeah.
I appreciate the movie for what it is. I understand that it was painful to make for many other people. But
Especially since being openly gay in movies just was not done then.
And he wasn't ready to come out. That movie kind of forced him out. Yeah. And of course, at the very, very wrong time with the AIDS scare at the time. So, I mean, there's a documentary that was made. I think it was called My Nightmare on Elm Street or something close to that. I watched the thing, and that's what helped me better appreciate the movie for what it is. Still not one of my favorites out of all the movies. Wes Craven's New Nightmare is still top tier. For a movie where Freddy Krueger isn't Freddy Krueger, it did really well.
Wait, how is he not Freddy Krueger?
That movie takes place in more the real world, where Nancy from the original movie is played by Heather Langenkamp as herself. So the actress plays herself in that movie.
Okay.
Robert Englund is Robert Englund. Wes Craven is Wes Craven. So the idea is that Wes Craven makes these horror movies to keep the genie in the bottle. The genie being this evil entity, this spirit, this jinn that needs to be kept in the bottle, which is the movies. He's keeping the monster in the movies. He's not letting it out into the streets to actually kill people. And this was him. This is him clapping back. Actually, this is Wes Craven clapping back against Mothers of America and whoever it was that was yelling at him about making violent movies.
Well, then don't let your children watch them.
Yeah,
don't let your children watch them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what the rating systems are literally there for.
And that's actually a thing that was addressed in the movies, where a doctor asks Heather Langenkamp, "Are you letting your child watch your movies, your horror movies?" And she's like, "No, of course not." Well, then how does he know about Freddy Krueger? Everyone knows about Freddy Krueger. He's like the Easter Bunny or the Santa Claus. It's at that time, yeah, technically. Yeah. Anyway. Wes Craven himself in the movie explains that Freddy Krueger is the form that this jinn, this evil entity, now takes because he kind of got used to it. And when he does step out of the movies, and when he does interact with the real world, killing people, Very creative ways that he killed people, by the way.
Okay.
My favorite being the truck scene where Heather Langkamp's husband is driving and he's falling asleep at the wheel, and he falls asleep for a split second.
That's all it takes.
Yep. And Kruger comes out from between the seats, right? His arm does, and he slashes him down his chest. Great scene. Fantastic scene. Of course, everyone believes that it was just a car accident, and all that damage to his chest was done from the car accident.
Right.
Yes, because, 4 slashes down the chest is exactly what happens in a car accident.
Yeah, I mean, weirder things have happened,
Anyway, great movie. If you watch it, there's a lot of Easter eggs in it. Pay attention. You'll see a lot of cool things. Callbacks to some of the old movies. Tricycle. Little boy wearing the green and red striped shirt. Just silly things. You'll see silly things. And all of that was actually brought back also in Freddy vs. Jason. For example, the news station that's reporting people escaping from the mental asylum is KRGR. Kruger.
Subtle.
Yep.
It's subtle.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So look for this. I love that sort of stuff. And you see a lot of it in Wes Craven's New Nightmare where, like I said, Freddy isn't Freddy.
Okay. You're going to have to... we're going to have to start exchanging movies at some point, because I will make a Trekkie out of you, and I guess you're going to have to make a Freddy out of me?
A horror head.
A horror head. Okay. Okay.
Yes, welcome to the horror community.
Yeah. Well,
All are welcome.
Okay. I'll be a whore.
Look, I'm already an unofficial Trekkie. I lean into it.
Oh, no. You're not nearly versed yet.
I know.
Not nearly, Lottie.
There's a lot in there.
There is. And I'll have to find a way to get some... the Next Generation and DS9 and Voyager. That's going to be a little hard to get because they're on streaming services, but it's hard to get streaming services out here in the studio. Mm-hmm. So I'll figure something out.
Right.
In the meantime, I need a quick break.
Yeah. Actually, it's getting kind of late.
Yeah. Do we want to just wrap up instead?
Yeah, we're going to have to.
Yeah. What time is it? A little after 9, yeah.
Yeah.
Flies by. Wow.
But anyway, this was a nice chat. We talked about.
This is one of our more mild conversations.
Yeah, we talked about a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Everything, except for lane departure technology. Well, one thing that's on my mind a lot lately is the dumbing down of society. But we can cover that another day.
Yeah, it's a big one.
I could rant about that one for a while, and my bladder's not going to take it.
Yeah.
No, I've got half of that, all of that, and me, plus what I drank at dinner. I went out for burgers, and the fries are really salty, so I just started drinking everything, and that was a mistake.
Yes. I can go for a burger and fries right now.
Do not go to the Burger King right here.
All right, I'll avoid the Burger King.
The
oversalted fries.
Well, it's just crap service.
Ugh.
You're just getting McLean kids, and it's just crap.
I think...
Flame It.
Flame It?
They might still be open at this hour. I'm not sure.
I was thinking Jack in a Box.
Jack in the Box is good. Flame It is kind of on the way. It's right there on the diagonal.
Mm-hmm.
It's right next to Blackbird's.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
All right. So, in that case, once again, we are self-sponsoring ourselves, Apparel by Davis. And I don't have any product right now, but Beth also launched a store, Mugshots by Faye. I will put links in the episode description somewhere. Depending on how you're watching this, you'll find it. It'll be in the episode description. And we will see you next time, I think.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, I just make it awkward.